Now, very few of us wants to see anything like this happen, but I think at this point, tragically, a lot of us were pretty sure that this was the way it was going to go. Today, we're going to be talking about the complete cancellation of Overkill's The Walking Dead. This video concerns everything that's been happening in the last few days with Skybound cancelling their contract with Overkill's The Walking Dead and with Starbreeze Studios as a whole, basically meaning the console versions are never going to release, and on top of that, the PC version is going to have support dropped either imminently or in the next couple of weeks, because there's a bit of a debate right now as to whether or not the Season 2 content will actually release. We'll get more into that a bit later in the video, but as always, my name is Red Archer Live. Welcome back to a brand new video. Today, let's talk about the end of Overkill's The Walking Dead. So this week has been about the worst week possible for Starbreeze in terms of Overkill's The Walking Dead. I mean, the sales were already horrific last year, as we know. The whole development story has been an absolute mess. I'll get into a bit more details later on for anyone who needs a catch-up very briefly. But today, the news that we're going to be talking about is the big announcement from Skybound Studios, the company in charge of the Walking Dead IP in general, owned by Robert Kirkman, the guy who set up the comics in the first place. They basically released a statement and said, we're tired of Starbreeze's stuff, we're tired of the whole mess of that game, we're cutting ties with them, and that's it, the game's dead, and there's no discussion. The article came literally out of nowhere, there was no warning for Starbreeze, it's just been instantly, snap at the fingers, game's been cancelled. But what I'm going to do today is go through Skybound's statement, go through Starbreeze's statement, and then a few other pieces of information surrounding it that need a bit of discussion and a few other points that I want to cover as well. But to start with, let's look at the article that has instigated all of the issues happening this week, that being the announcement on Skybound's website. Entitled, An Update on Overkill's The Walking Dead, the article simply states, as of today, we have terminated our contract with Starbreeze Studios and will discontinue all efforts on Overkill's The Walking Dead. Our creators and their stories are the core of Skybound, and since 2014, we have worked hard to expand the world of The Walking Dead into an exceptional co-op action FPS. We did our best to work with Starbreeze and resolve many issues that we saw with the game, but ultimately Overkill's The Walking Dead did not meet our standards, nor is it the quality that we were promised. We are exceedingly sorry to our fans and share their disappointment in the game. We remain dedicated to providing our fans with the most premium quality content we can offer, and we will continue to look for alternative video game options for the IP. That article was published on Tuesday, and as I've said, there was very little notice given to Starbreeze. It's actually unclear to me, and I'm hoping maybe someone could clarify whether Starbreeze were told privately before the article went live, or whether Starbreeze found out because of the article. I really hope it wasn't the latter, but at this point, judging from the amount of notice that was given and the amount of time they had to prepare, it could well have been that they read the article just at the same time as everyone else and had no idea until we did. So I can't comment, I honestly don't know, but it does seem a bit sketchy. But the next part we're going to look at is the statement on Starbreeze's website, which is entitled, Starbreeze has received a notice of termination from Skybound, the Overkill's The Walking Dead title rights holder, related to the party's license agreement regarding Overkill's The Walking Dead. It's a long title for an article that very simply says, Starbreeze has a dialogue with Skybound with the ambition to reach a solution. Starbreeze has been informed that the product likely will be disabled for further sales on the platform Steam, and should Starbreeze and Skybound not reach a solution, it would mean that the game will not be made available for sale again on Steam, and that the console version would not be released. Sales related to Overkill's The Walking Dead amounts to 34.1 million Swedish crowns in the fourth quarter of 2018, and costs related to development of the game has so far exceeded the revenue, and there are no assets related to Overkill's The Walking Dead in the Starbreeze Group balance sheet. Main point of that last article simply saying that the game has been a loss for the company. It still hasn't generated enough money to make back the money that was put into development. But as you can see, it doesn't actually say the console versions are completely cancelled. I'm simply saying that myself because it seems like that's the way it's going to go. There's no point in getting our hopes up anymore. Skybound have completely cut Starbreeze off and given them no notice. I don't see them budging or giving any leeway towards Starbreeze Studios, and that's something that I do want to get into in just a second. But before I do that, I do want to touch on the console versions just very briefly, because I was sent a message by one of my subscribers over on Twitter. If you don't follow me on there, link to that is in the description. If you ever want to bring something to my attention privately, you can always send me a message and send something like this. But it was brought to my attention on Twitter that there was a Reddit post from someone who uses a PS4 that was given a refund for their purchase of Overkill's The Walking Dead on pre-order. The email simply said, thank you for pre-ordering Overkill's The Walking Dead. The publisher has notified us that the game is cancelled, and as a result we have withdrawn the current pre-order from the PlayStation Store, and we will cancel all pre-orders. You will receive a refund to your original payment source within 5 to 7 business days, and a bit more about the PS and all that stuff, not really important. And not long after this had surfaced, 505 Games, the company in charge of the console port, followed up with a tweet saying, we just wanted to clear the position on Overkill's The Walking Dead on console and confirm the game has not been cancelled, purely postponed whilst development is ongoing. We will share further news as soon as possible. That's the latest thing we've heard from 505 Games regarding the console versions of Overkill's The Walking Dead, but as I've said, it just seems like that's just not going to go the way that we're all thinking, and the game is most likely going to be cancelled. So it's best to assume it's going to be, because if it isn't, then it'll be a lovely surprise, but it seems like wishful thinking at this point. And then finally, the last thing that I wanted to quote for this article is a post from Overkill themselves, not from Starbreeze, but from the devs who usually post on the Steam community. And it's an article where they would normally talk about their patch notes, but instead they're addressing the situation. So let's give it a very quick read. The post reads, "Hello survivors. Now this is where we normally present our patch notes and a long list of fixes and additions. But due to recent events, we are unfortunately forced to hold off on pushing any updates until we have clarity on the situation. This also means that the 16th episode of The Walking Dev, which is their live stream series where they talk about things upcoming in the game and what they've been working on, which was scheduled for later today, has been put on hold. In the meantime, we're continuing development so that we'll stay on schedule should we come to an agreement. The Overkill team has the ambition to deliver the Season 2 content that we have promised our players. Please note that while we'd love to answer all of your questions, at this stage we will have a hard time doing so until we get further clarity. We thank you for your patience while the discussions between Starbreeze and the license holder are ongoing, and we apologise for the inconvenience." Now, there are several things in these articles to unpack, pick apart and discuss, but very quickly before we do so, I just want to give a quick 30-second catch-up to anyone who doesn't know what was so bad about Overkill's The Walking Dead, at least from the critics' point of view and a lot of the players. The simplicity of it is that since announcing the game's existence in 2014, Overkill were working for about 2 years on a game engine called Valhalla. It was an engine they purchased specifically to use for this game to start off with, and maybe for future titles as well, but the game engine was only about 50% intact. There was a lot in it that they couldn't operate or couldn't use. There wasn't even an option to open other assets within the engine. They had to build that up from scratch and get the engine to be usable before even making a game with it. But they sat for about 2 years trying to get this game engine to work, and then eventually they thought, you know what, we'll scrap it and use Epic Games' Unreal Engine, and that was about a year before the game went live. So really, it was doomed from the start. They kept going through all these different creative ideas. No one really seemed to collaborate on what they wanted the game to be. It was just whatever the devs were playing over a weekend, let's do that. So the whole thing was a mess. It could have had so much potential, but it was poorly managed. The engine troubles caused it far more damage than anything else could have. By the time the game came out, it was an absolute mess. But now we come to the point that I don't quite get, and it's something that I'm going to try and unpack as much as I can, and hopefully get your inputs down in the comment section below. And it's about Skybound's decision here. Now, the thing that I don't get first off is that they said in their article that they're disappointed with what Starbreeze have done, and they've tried their best to try and make the game as good as possible. Well, my issue is that Skybound should have been heavily involved since the game was first announced, and for those of you who watched the ultimate reveal stream for the game in December of 2017, you'll remember that there was a live interview with Almir and Robert Kirkman, but they were talking like they were best buddies, like they'd been involved in this game and talking about it for years on end. So based off of that, you would judge that it was safe to assume that Skybound were heavily involved with Overkill's The Walking Dead in the years that it was spent being developed, even the years where everything was scrapped after trying to use Valhalla for 2 years. So by that logic, Skybound are trying to make out that they've only just seen now after the game's been released that it's an absolute mess, and they've tried to push Starbreeze in the last couple of months to change things, but have gone, you know what, forget it. But my attitude is that I think they've waited until the game has stopped selling entirely and thought, okay, that's it, they've sold as much as they can, let's cut all their ties to them and leave them high and dry with a zero warning. And if that's the case, that is one of the scummiest things I've seen. I really hope that's not the case. I genuinely don't, but it just doesn't seem right. Something seems off here to me. And yeah, Starbreeze made their mistakes with the whole development thing. There was poor management, and the way assets were used and game engines were just thrown away after years of work. That all was horrible, and it was really sad to see the way that that's all transpired. But for Skybound to be so, I don't know, quick off the mark to just cut them off and go instantly like, that's it, I just don't like it. I really don't. And again, going back to that stream, in that reveal stream in December, as a lot of you will remember if you watched it, there was very little said about the game. It was supposed to be where all the details would be announced. They would talk about so much stuff about the game, and everyone expected to see gameplay, or at least an idea of some of the raids or missions or whatever the hell they called them in that game. I can't actually remember. But how they would work, what characters you could play as and all that, all we got was one CGI trailer that did not represent the game in any way, shape or form, and then as I said, an interview involving Robert Kirkman and Almir Listo, in which for a part of it they joked about having pirate DLC for a game that had no information as towards gameplay or anything like that. They just went, you know what, we'll have an interview for the sake of it and say nothing about the game that has any consequence. So it's as if they knew the whole time. And also I wanted to discuss what was said about Season 2 of Overkill's The Walking Dead. For those of you who don't know how it's been operating, maybe playing on console or you didn't buy DLC on PC, Overkill were releasing each of their bits of DLC or their expansions, etc. as what's called episodes of seasons. So they'd add a season and each one would have several episodes that would add more to the story. When the game was first announced, you could buy the base edition, which would come with the first initial release and Season 1 in one package. You could buy the deluxe edition, which would include everything I've already said, and Season 2. Or, as they later did to try and get some more money for the game, you could buy just the starter edition, which would have the base game, but not Seasons 1 or 2. Now, as you'll imagine, a good portion of people will have gone for the deluxe edition of Overkill's The Walking Dead, and so haven't yet received all the content that they paid for, which is in Season 2, which has only partially been released. I think it's up to episode 3 at the moment. I'm not sure how many there are. It might be 4, might be 5. I think it's 4, so there may only be one more episode that people are due, but I don't know for sure, so don't quote me on that. But the point being is that there's still content left to come for people who have made the purchase of Overkill's The Walking Dead's deluxe edition. So the whole thing that I would say really is that even if Skybound have gone, you know what, it's not generating any more money, let's pull the plug, the least they could have done is not, firstly, just to give Starbreeze notice, because that is really necessary. They shouldn't just go, you know what, that's it, we're done, we're giving you no attention or no notice, because that's scummy as it is. It just doesn't really seem very nice to me. The point that I would make is that they should really let Starbreeze finish off the stuff that people have paid for. If I'd paid for Season 2, I would expect Season 2. I don't care whether the game had collapsed or not. If the devs, which they are trying to put all their effort in and all their care to the community that they have, regardless of the size, then that should be honoured and respected by Skybound. They should let them finish it. I don't care about the resources or the money that's put into it. If you make an agreement with the consumer should get what they're promised. And that is the top and bottom of it. There is no kind of argument or debate there necessary. So if Season 2's content does not get finished completely, if Skybound really stops Starbreeze from doing that, then it's going to be bad. And I can only offer my sympathy to anyone who's paid for that stuff and won't get it. And as for the console versions, I mean, who really knows? I can't see Skybound letting them. I know Starbreeze said that the console versions might well get cancelled as well. As far as I'm concerned, I think in Starbreeze's eyes, the console versions are already dead in the water. There's no way they're going to drop. So if they do, as I've said, it will be lovely, and I will be buying the game. I've said in the past, I think the game looks like dumb fun. I think I would enjoy it even if I don't no-life it and play it for years on end. I feel like I would get a good amount of fun out of the game, but I just don't see it happening. I don't see it dropping, I don't see it releasing, and I think really now the days are over for Overkill's The Walking Dead. My intention is not to be offensive or crude to any of the people who've been working at any of these companies, but what I will say as my closing remarks is Skybound, I get that you've cancelled the game. It makes sense too financially because the game just isn't doing well anymore. But A, Starbreeze deserved more notice. B, you should let them finish the stuff that people have paid for. And to all the guys at Overkill, I've spoken to a few of them recently regarding Payday stuff. I know, they're great guys. All the people who work developing at Overkill software, they don't deserve the situation that they're in. It's been one bad turn after another for the company, and I have recently just found out that Starbreeze have applied to extend their reconstruction, and it has, as of today, been approved. So they are going to be in reconstruction for, I think, another 3 months. So hopefully things will get sorted and things will get fixed. But the thing I will say to Overkill is hopefully Skybound cutting you off and stopping you from supporting Overkill's The Walking Dead will in the end be a good thing for you. Because now what I would hope you'll do is focus on Payday Crime War, get that out the door, get the microtransactions in that game generating money for you guys, and then push it all into Payday 3. Because if you get that game out and you get it right, I don't even have to tell you this, you guys know this, if you get Payday 3 out right, it will work for you and you will be back into Golden Boy status in Sweden. It's as simple as that. You've just got to make something people will play and play for years to come the way you did with Payday. And if you can do it once, then surely I hope to God you can do it again. I really do. And as I've said before in my Payday 3 videos, you don't have to change much. Keep the skills the way they are. Keep the way the weapons work the way they are. Give us new heists, a few little gameplay features to make it new, fresh, and unique. Don't Call of Duty it where you carbon copy everything, but add a bit of new things in, keep the bits we love, and you've got a game that will sell, and it will sell a lot. Simple as. I want the best for you guys, and that is the way I would see it to get you off the ground running. I really honestly think that's the best way. But that sums up the video. I get that it was more of kind of like my, not even a rant, but my flurry of opinions towards the end, because it's been a very heartbreaking thing. My attitude was that when Payday 2 lost its support, that Overkill's The Walking Dead, as a lot of us expected, was, if it had gone well, going to be the game that would bridge Payday 2 and Payday 3. Payday 2 support would stop, Overkill's The Walking Dead would be the nice little bridge for people to play while we wait for Payday 3 to be announced. But now, it's been something that just was tried to set sail, but the ship just sunk before it even made it into the ocean. And now we're all just left stranded in the water waiting for a lifeboat being Payday 3 to come over and pick us up. That was a weird little metaphor, but it actually worked out quite well in the end. Anyway, point being, I hope that you guys have found it interesting. I apologise that I was never actually able to present Walking Dead content for you guys. That was something that I wanted to do. It wasn't going to be as big as Payday, I knew that, but I really did want to play this game and make videos for you guys. So the fact that it's all gone wrong and I couldn't do that, I apologise. I'm sorry that you guys don't like the game, and I'm sorry to Overkill for everything that's gone wrong, because even for the people who caused the mistakes, I mean, mistakes do happen, things do go wrong, and with Overkill The Walking Dead, it's been one after another, and it's just sad, but that's the way it is sometimes. That's life, and you just got to roll with the punches, and hopefully it's about getting yourself up off the ground rather than just sitting there and taking the punches. So, but either way, I'm going to round this video off here. If you have enjoyed it, please do consider giving it a thumbs up. It's always very much appreciated, and if you fancy sticking around, hit that subscribe button. You know the drill. It's quick, it's free, and I'll always love you for doing so. And as I've said, if there is anyone at Overkill watching this video, I know a few of you guys have seen a few of my videos more recently, more specifically the Xbox 360 one, so if you're still hanging around, just be known that we all care about you, and we hope that everything goes well for you now Overkill The Walking Dead's gone. I think it could be the best thing for you to just focus on Payday and not have this game to worry about. It was a sad circumstance that it's really not gone well, but hopefully some good can come out of it, and that's the way we've got to look at it. So I wish you all the best. I wish all of you the best. And again, no offense to Skybound, I just think you could have handled it a bit better. I do. I really do. But that's just my thoughts. And I'm only human. Everyone will say different things to me. But either way, leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about everything I've talked about. And other than that, I will see you all next week with a brand new video. Hope you all do well. Have a great weekend. And I will see you all next week. Until then, take it easy, guys. And I will see you all very soon.